Hello. Here's just the ARPs for that. And with 15 real-time controls to each of these patches. Turn on off chorus. On and on and on. Let me show you some other patches in this library. These are the Z patches, the bonus. See how alive they are? It's really, really fun. It's cool brass. Oh, this is really cool. I love this one. There's really cool leads because these samples came from a lead mono synth. So, hello, my name is John Lemcool. This is a new library. I'm releasing it today, which is my birthday. I am 58 years young. Can't believe it. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. But hey, thankful to be still doing what I love to do and making beautiful sounds. And this is a cool library. I've never seen a library like this before. This is truly a unique library in that it's samples from a monophonic synth that you can now play 64 voices with. It is a bunch of bonus patches, and also each one of the patches that I sampled 4 times so that they could do 4-time round robin, which is just gives it this really, really cool life and does a cool stereo thing that we can only do inside of Unify. But not only that, but you could go to Razorback Square, cool 2-oscillator D-tune square pad. That's what one sample sounds like, right? Well, if you own a Pro-1, whether it's the original Pro-1 from Sequential Circuits or else it's the Behringer, you can click right here, and here is the template to program that patch so that you can get your own straight, because there's no presets inside of the Pro-1. And I know all these people I've talked to that have bought a Pro-1 and they don't know synthesizer programming, so they just end up making bacon and frying alien sounds on it type of thing. So every one of these 23 patches up here at the top that don't have a Z are patches from my Pro-1. And I carefully sampled them 4 times, and I took pictures. Here's what the picture looks like for one of the patches. And I took a picture of what I named it so that I would have ability to recall it up. And then I got a hold of my graphic artist, Matt Chowski, who is just a talented bugger. And he turned this into an image in Photoshop with layer after layer after layer for all of the knobs, everything. Because as you can see from the photo, you can't tell from the photo over here what the values are exactly for the LFO amount. Because the way photography works and you're this close to the object, it does this whole parallax thing, right? Well, we're used to seeing things like this. And so this is what it looked like when Matt was done. And then I got this to Shane, who did the design and all the code and all that stuff for Unify. And he turned this into my own standalone app, which gives me access to every switch as if it was the real thing. even though it's a mock-up that doesn't even make any sounds. So then I hired my assistant Taylor to go through each one of these photos and recreate it in this app. And then if you right click, you can say save a snapshot. He saves a snapshot, loads it into, I load it into Photoshop into this template I made with the additional graphics and the text, snap it, and then save it. And then I'll show you the whole process. So then if you go over here to Unify, to the libraries, to this library, to the media, there's a text file which links all of the patches by the patch names to the images with the image names as they appear inside of this folder. So that's the process to get each one of these son of a guns to work. And now you have the ability to play it, click a button in the interface, and see how to program it in the Pro-1 so you can get into synthesizer programming with some usable reference patches that sound normal, you know? So that's the concept, is cool patches from a monophonic synth. Now you can play polyphonically. Not only that, but here, I'll show you. Let's go to the PWM. This is a cool example. Synth detune PWM. Here is, there's 15 knobs in the interface for Unify that are set up to, I'm giving it a slow attack. I could filter it. I could go over here to the second page, turn on chorus, bring up reverb. There's an amp LFO and the rate. As well as pump house. Now the LFO rate for the LFO is not synced, so it's just running on its own. Still pretty cool. So you can take these patches and create that from. Now, let me show you the samples. Why do I have 4 takes of the same patch? I let Logic run 4 times, playing the notes up the keyboard for the map that I like. It's a C-7 chord. That's what I sampled for the notes. And here's one sample. If you open up Unify, here's take 2, take 3. Kind of sounds the same, right? Well, they're not. Right here is the 4 times round robin. As you can see, every one of the maps has a 4-time RR. And now it's randomly choosing. I layered all 4 samples on top of the key range and gave them their limited range, just like I did for the original 4. But now it's playing all 4 of those together as a single oscillator call up inside of our Guru sampler. And one thing with Guru sampler, if you layer the same samples on top of each other, then it randomly chooses. So if I play this, and then I change this to just one of these is just playing one thing, right? You hear the difference? Go over here, go to the 4 times round robin. So it just has this little bit more unpredictability. It's a little different. Right? And then I did one more further trick, making it stereo. And I used our polybox to set up just a layer of 2 layers for the left, 2 layers for the right. So takes 1 and 2 are assigned to the left, and the takes 3 and 4 are assigned to the right. And then polybox is our when you click the button here for random, it now randomly chooses between the pool of the 2 for the right and 2 for the left. So it's just different. And because it's 4 different takes, they can be layered. Some to mono, it still sounds great. And then I have the knob set up. If you look here, it's set up to control all the parameters to all 4 layers. Right? So 25 patches are done this way. It took a huge amount of work, not even talking about the looping. Everything is looped. There's a killer program called Endless Wave. That's a free program that I could not have done this library without this. Let me show you. Check this out. So if I go over to Unify, Libraries, I go to the samples. Here, let's scroll down here. Now, you don't see these in the version that you have because they've been turned into protected encrypted files, but I have them here as the full-length samples that I can shoot over here. And now you can see that it's looped. Seamlessly loops. And there is 0 crossfade. So there's no funky stuff where it gets to the crossfade. And this program is so cool because you can hold down Shift and you can click and drag to set your sample start and sample end points. And then there's a really cool option up here called Auto Adjust Loop Start and Loop End. Do this and it will find where it can loop without any click. And loop. So even if you set it to something like this and you say Command Option there, it will find where it can loop. And if you have something that does a repeated cycle, like most of these synth samples, it will loop. And then you can use, there's Shift Command K, which says save and go to the next sample. Let me close this and say no, because I don't want to save that file. But that is a free best looping program I have found in modern computers for PC or Mac. I'll put a link to the software. He also has a really cool sample mapping tool called Bjorn's Sample Mapper. They're free tools that do. I could not have made this library in the period of time because there's literally thousands of samples because it's C minor 7 for 5 octaves. 4 takes of that map. But we did it. I did it. And here it is. So this library comes with all the reference patches, and then the Z patches are additional patches that are right. So it's out today and available right now if you're watching this video. I'm going to just play through the patches really quickly, give you a taste for the whole library as a walkthrough. Again, these patches here are just as stock and as boring as possible, as if they were on the actual synthesizer. There's no velocity control for the most part. There's a couple cases, like for the pad, I did use effects, but for the most part, I didn't use effects for these. And again, if you click right here, there's the patch to program this on a Pro-1. So anytime you see this glowing box around the artwork of the library, that means you can click it and it will show you an image. I used this in the Del Norte EDM Chill library to show pictures of the redwoods. So you can be playing pads and looking at beautiful pictures of the forests in the national park that I went to when I built the library. So anyway, the round robin version. Stereo snap. Really nice, just vintage analog vibe. Now, analog EP. I was playing with the Pro-1 and I came up with this sound. And I can hear in there that if I filter that, it will be an electric piano. Can you hear it? And sure enough. Now this I made expressive because it's a keyboard sound. And having it call up like this probably would get it to be never ever be used. Whereas it's really nice. Came out really nice. You could go over here again, turn on chorus, little reverb. Right? So there's the 4 versions of that. Snappy organ. Now I should point out this version of the library is what I call the birthday edition. And this is one of the only patches where the artwork is missing. I didn't take a picture, so I have to reprogram it and then take a picture of it after I've programmed it again. So I got a little work cut out for me for that. Here's the round robin version. And then the stereo version. Now, slow grower is, I showed this a little bit ago, it's a pad. And that slow growing filter and amp, that is actually in the patch, right? But the effects are not, so I added effects. And the stereo version is really nice. A little bit wider. It's just lovely. Noise, there's no reason to do round robins of noises. But I use key tracking, and I got this set up so you can see the keyboard amount is used. So it gets bright up high. That's why it's called MIDI colors. Soothing waves is an ocean wave. It's one of those sounds you have to know how to program. It's like one of those basics because you use this for transitions. The techniques used to make an ocean wave are used to make transitions and all sorts of sounds that you're going to use in music production for everything you do. So if you can't make an ocean wave on an analog synthesizer, then you need to do some homework. And then we get into the Synth Angry Alice. And this is one that says 3 times round robin because one of the 4 passes was corrupt. And I didn't feel like trying to fix it, so it's only 3 times round robin. Blatty brass. The oscillators of the Pro-1 just really lend themselves to brassy more than stringy. So there's that. The D-tune I showed you earlier. And the round robin version. The synth. Just a cool. It's very challenging to imagine sounds as how they'll be polyphonically and programmability wise from a monophonic synth, but we did it. And stereo is cool. Right? Laserium is a cool. And I'll show you a cool trick. If you go to Guru Sampler, we have a shift tool which shifts the samples but keeps them at their pitch. It's a cool trick that I've used since the M1 to take like a bright piano and make it a dark piano. For example, if I go over here and I call up from keyboard a piano, let's just say Church Steinway, the hard samples, so that if you use shift, it's doing a transpose of the samples while shifting the map. It's the same samples, but because of shift, you can get moody pianos. Right? Even though the normal samples are not moody. So, taking that concept into mind, Laserium is cool in that you can go over here to that shift tool and you can speed up or slow down that. If you take it and shift down, it gets really slow. And then put a cool amp attack so it fades in. Or you could take it the other direction and make it fast. Take it down an octave. So the samples have a lot of legs inside of Guru Sampler because we put some important, unique tools inside of the parameters here of Guru Sampler. So the ability to shift the samples like that to anything is really, really cool. So Laserium, pitchy props, brass. And if you open up Guru Sampler or use this parameter right here, sample start, you can skip into later of the samples so you don't get the pitchy attack. Different than, and again, you could use that really cool shift to speed up that pitchy G. Like that's a patch that I need to make because I'm going to be making in some follow-up videos. We're going to do some patch making together inside of Unify for this library. So I'll be showing you some tricks, and that's one of my tricks. So stay tuned for those. Okay, so we're up here on pitchy pop brass. Again, stereo. Right? Power fifth. And again, the 4-time round robin. Power square. I love fifth notes. And again, click right here. This shows you how to turn your Pro-1 into a cool power fifth square. So many cool pop songs are written using chords where the oscillator to detune like that. So there you go. This is Razorback Saw. Cool detuned synth, Razorback Square. Cool detuned square, retro res, major third. Sample start. Or shift. Both ways to speed up or slow down the attack. I'm gonna make it slower. Now you get into Daft Punk territory. It's kind of cool. Saw clean. Round robin version. This has so much more life than this. It just bounces around. It's really nice. Stereo. Square. This is at 25%, so it's more of a like a pulsy clav. %. 75%. And then 95%. So the square wave is really flexible because you can get all these different tonalities. And if you have an LFO sweep that width, that's how you get the really nice detuned P to M kind of a thing. This. That motion is because the square wave has its width just going back and forth from being really wide to more narrow and wide, narrow, so forth. So all these different squares, triangle, we've got clean. And then dirty, I used the LFO really, really, really fast on some different things to create this additional fuzzy stuff on the sound. And if you click the artwork, it will show you how to do that. Okay. And then after that, we get to the bonus patches I've made so far. It's got that octave thing in it, the filter cutoff knob. That kind of thing. Planetary interplay. This is what I started with at the beginning of the video. This is using this is like a 4 oscillator patch. If we were to say an omnisphere, each of these layers you could consider to be an oscillator. So I'm programming where one oscillator is doing the noise. Another layer, another oscillator is doing the slow pad. Then third layer, third oscillator. Nice sawtooth kind of a sound. And it's got blue arp on it. And then the other side is double speed, so it's 16th notes. I turn these two on and turn on the effects. Right? So that's the breakdown of what's going on in this patch. There's other pulses, a reluctant superhero. This is like one note. Makes cool melodies as well as basses. Zappy Clavy. This is using the 95% square. If I go over here to the filter and make it bright. Now the leads, I wanted to make some monophonic leads. I'll make some more because everything came from being a monophonic sound. Now this is layering 5 Pro-1s on top of each other. Fusion lead. Mono legato, fuzzy flutes. Solo bright. As well as mellow. Solo synth brass is solo triangle. Some nice pads. There's a notch filter inside of the GUI sampler. Really cool. Arrival of the big 3 oscillator. Cool element for building a track, kind of a retro vibe. Orion Sunrise. Just simple. PWM being used here for Somber Dark is even a darker pad. Here's a little pluck. Okay, then there's some cool synths. '90s kids even bigger. Really nice. First Love. Some, like I said, this kind of tended to be more of a brassy vibe. So I layered the brass patches that I made and made some cool nice Ready for Recess. Taking the Fifth. And then Velocity Dreamin' for the finale is a really, really cool in that you've got the filter EG on the mod wheel. And then you have filter cutoff on knob 3. So it can get very loud. And far bigger than it starts out as. Okay. So, happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to you. On top of this, as a bonus, if you've stuck around this long, I will tell you that if you go to Spotify or any other streaming service, you can find an album I just released of music under my artist name of Real Cool. I'll make a separate video on this probably when I get back from, I'm going to go have birthday time tomorrow and the next day with my mom and dad. They're in the area, so I get to see them, which I'm really happy and excited to see. But anyway, my album, this is songs that I did over 20 years ago and have been sitting on this computer hard drive forever. And I made a promise to myself that at the beginning of this year, I would release this album before the end of the year. And I really wanted to do it for my birthday. So we did it. So you can check out an album of, it'll probably surprise you, some of these songs. It's not what you'd expect to hear from me, but these are songs that I did 20, 25, 30 years ago. One of them, in fact, this one right here called Learning to Love with Kathy Talbot. This was actually the first song I recorded with audio hard disk recording into a computer. It had just shown up inside of Logic as something, as a feature to be able to record to hard disk in the 90s or 80s. Was it? Yeah, it was right around 1990. I can't remember the exact time it was, but 22 years ago. So 32 years ago. Holy cow. Can't believe I'm that old. Anyway. So thank you for your support for this library. If you buy it, I hope you enjoy it. It's definitely unique. Something I haven't seen anybody else do in a library to support helping you know how to program these patches that you can play polyphonically, even though you can't play them on the monophonic synth, and making it stereo, and then all the bonus patches and stuff like that. All right, so please enjoy. Thank you again for your support. We'll see you in the next video, okay?